Welcome back to my channel. Today we have a super exciting guest, and that is the CEO of Empowerclinic, Steve McAuley. Thanks so much for being on.
Great, Landon. Thanks. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, all right. So I just got some questions. So can you just talk about Empowerclinics and what it's all about?
Yeah. So and we are really, or what I'm focused on is healthcare, and really continuing to move the company to be what I call it, kind of a pure play healthcare company, or we sometimes use the word integrated healthcare. And for us, I really see it as kind of two sides to the business. So one is health and wellness, and then the other, I kind of think of it as research and development. And in health and wellness, particularly, our strength is, we own and operate clinics. And we really have kind of two types of clinics. One we call paramedical clinics, and those are services such as pain management, physiotherapy, chiropractic, acupuncture, podiatry, and other services like that. And then the other kind of exciting area that we're going into, and there'll be a lot of announcements coming in the near future, is we're crossing over into what we call primary care. So we will have the more traditional side of the medical system under our umbrella as well. And in some situations, we'll run those clinics together. And in some cases, they would be standalone or independent. On the research and development side, we own a large, high complexity medical laboratory in the US. We do all types of specimen testing, but right now we're very primarily focused on COVID-19 testing, addressing the big demand because of the pandemic. The closing of our recent Canadian clinic acquisitions, we're also now going to start looking for the opportunities to have a laboratory in Canada as well, and see if we can bring our COVID capabilities to the Canadian market.
Great. What were some key milestones that you guys hit in 2020?
So 2020 was really such a crazy year for us, for all society, right? And the pandemic, once that showed up, early in 2020, and we kind of went into the second quarter, we found our business actually thriving in the US. So our clinics were, frankly, they were slammed. People wanted to come and see our physicians and get support for whatever qualifying condition they were coming in for. And we also pivoted to be able to start delivering COVID-19 testing services in our clinics in Arizona. And that really led to that kind of continued direction. When we were working through the COVID-19 testing programs, what we learned was we ultimately can't make a lot of money at it being a reseller, because the labs were ultimately taking all the revenue and the margin. And so we investigated whether or not we should convert one of our clinics into a lab, buy the equipment and set it up. But we discovered quickly that the time to get that set up and approved was probably going to be 9 to 12 months. So that quickly defaulted to, well, we've got to go buy something. And then we started researching, and we landed on Kai Medical Laboratory, and we closed that transaction October 6th of this year. And then it's just taken off like crazy. I mean, much more explosive growth than I even anticipated would happen so quickly after closing the acquisition. Yeah. The other major milestone for us was the market really started responding. I'm talking about the capital markets. So we found our stride. And I think it's kind of this combination of, we finally are starting to meet the market where the market wants us to be. And as a result, we got some explosive growth in our stock price in December. And with that explosive growth, it triggered the ability for warrant holders to convert their warrants. And so we found that it was really kind of like a fire hose of warrant conversions. And where we sit today, just coming out of December, I mean, we've pulled in in excess of $7 million just on the warrant conversions alone. So that's a major milestone for us. And then finally, we closed the Canadian clinic acquisition, and I was really focused on getting that done before year end. So we did the share purchase agreement signing, and then you when typically closes are kind of roll through, a few business days after. There's this legal work and the disclosures and documentation that you still have to collect. And so in this case, it took a few more business days, but we got the closing done on actually the last day of the year. And that's why we announced it on the first business day of this week.
Yeah. Yeah, and I saw that you guys have incentives for those two doctors in Toronto to get a whole bunch of clinics, because you guys got a goal of opening 30 clinics, and I think that's a really good goal for. Do you think that could possibly happen in 2021? Like, when do you think that you'd kind of get to?
So the structure of the acquisition, the terms we have to disclose, it's as a public company, and you can see by the structure what my objectives are. So my objectives with the acquisition and with the two principals, the two doctors, is to say, I will reward you further in the future if you execute on the goals that we have agreed. And that's why we set these milestones, milestone 1, milestone 2, milestone 3. So it's 10 clinics, then 20 clinics, then 30 and beyond. So to answer your question directly, we expect to have that done in 2021 for sure.
Yeah.
I know what's coming, and there'll be some important announcements about these first developments in the very near future. And we're going to crush through milestone 1 virtually right away.
Wow. Okay. Can you comment on any progress with Loop Insights and Simplifying?
Yeah. Rob Anson, the CEO at Loop, and I, we communicate every day, whether it's WhatsApp or on a phone. I had a conference call with him yesterday on another big opportunity that we're working on together. Yeah. There are so many different scenarios where our partnership works so well. And then if you add in Simplifying, so Shashank, the founder of Simplifying, he and I were texting this morning, and really just picking up the conversation again from the holidays with the various initiatives. They're focused on travel, airlines, and some of these travel bubbles. Yeah. And with Loop, they can play a role in that as well. And I've made that introduction so that we've got Loop Insights, we've got Simplifying, and us all playing complementary roles together. There's no crossover. And so I think what we're going to start to see are different types of opportunities just coming together. We might do some work together with Simplifying only. We'll definitely do work together with Loop, and we may have situations where all three parties are connected in one form or another on particular opportunities.
Mm-hmm. And then, do you know when we could hear some news about that? Like, do you know, like, are you guys pretty close to getting some big partnerships or just anything like that?
Yeah, we are. There's a variety of opportunities in a variety of stages. Yeah. Some of these transactions, these opportunities are very complex because the problem is complex. When you think about a travel bubble, we're dealing with so many regulatory bodies that are weighing in on the decisions and the rules. And we're in conversations with some cruise lines yesterday on this topic, and literally, I'll just go to my notes here. And this is a Canadian situation. So we've got Transport Canada, the province, Canada Customs, US Customs, the CDC, Health Canada, FDA, all weighing in. Then you've got the Cruise Line Association weighing in on the policies and procedures. And we have to try to come up with a solution that everybody will sign off on. Because none of those regulatory bodies are coming forward with a solution. They're just saying, you have to have a negative COVID test to get into Canada. You have to have a negative COVID test to get onto the ship. And, but we need you guys to figure it out. So, but, particularly ourselves and Loop, we like these complex problems. And, Loop particularly are very good at solving workflow problems. That's kind of what their specialty is.
Yeah.
And so, Rob and I and his team, we just basically get on the whiteboard and understand from the partner what the issues and challenges are that have to be resolved, and then figure out the workflow and the check-in points and the testing and which test. And is it point of care testing? Is it, the Kai saliva test sending to a passenger in advance so that everything's queued up to make sure that they can go on their holiday and travel. So, big opportunities, but they're complex. But we're certainly up for the challenge.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that there might be some news for that in like the first quarter of 2020?
Yeah, there will be.
Okay. And with the 7 million in cash that you have from the exercising of the warrants, was some of that used for the Canadian acquisition, or is that now like totally 7 million cash that you guys have?
It's a good question. So we had enough cash to do the acquisition anyhow.
Okay.
Right. So it wasn't like we had to get the warrant conversions in order to complete the Canadian clinic acquisition, because you remember that we did a financing back in November, which was 1.288 million. And so we had those proceeds. And so, again, we didn't have to have the 7 million to do the Canadian clinic acquisition. The 7 million is a really nice for us to have at this point in time. It changes everything. It changes how I assess what we do going forward. It changes how we invest, what we invest in. You combine sort of 100 million market cap and $7 or $8 million in cash. I can really do some deals now, right? Yeah. I mean, I was doing interesting deals on kind of a shoestring budget, but now when we add a lot more power, it kind of to do structured deals and also to invest internally. I mean, some of the things that we've been doing quickly is giving more resources to Kai Medical because there's so much demand coming their way. So they need to hire more staff. So we're doing that. We needed to upgrade their software in their lab information system. Well, we're doing that. We're doing a brand refresh of Kai. We're launching a direct-to-consumer website at kaitest.com. All of this takes new investment. So, but particularly with Kai Medical, there's a very direct correlation to return on investment, right? So if we can accelerate our distribution and sales of the Kai saliva test kit on a direct-to-consumer home basis or at a business, that goes out, comes back the next day. We've already swiped the credit card, and we're getting paid. So it's not one of these investments where I put it out and we don't see a return for a year or 2 years or 3 years. This one's very direct. So I'm really laser focused on supporting them because the demand is just so high in the US right now.
Yeah. And what is the margin on those kits?
I can't sort of say specifically, but I can tell you that it's extremely good.
Yeah.
It's above average of what, you would think a gross profit margin could be or should be. Okay. Again, with the demand being so high, and you've also got the phenomenon that is considered, emergency use authorized by the federal government under the CARES Act in the US. And what that means is that every insurance company, whether they're in network or out of network, must pay the invoice to the lab. They can't negotiate it. They can't haggle over it. They can't refuse it. And that's because of the pandemic itself. So, we're fortunate not only to have volume, but it's a real cash generator. So, yeah.
Just a couple more questions. I know you're busy. Can you just talk about the feedback from customers about the kits? Have they been saying anything about them? And
You mean the new Kai saliva test?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, what's interesting about it is the interest level and the demand is so high. So take our film and television productions, there's a, you know, we're in the process of serving that big one right now, and we're getting hundreds of specimens per day from this one big production, and they're switching over 100% to the saliva test.
Yeah.
And you have to think of any industry that the testing requirement is multiple times per week, and you're having to get a nasal swab or a throat swab over and over and over. You know, there's a lot of discomfort. So if you can have the same gold standard PCR test, but you simply spit a saliva sample into a tube, close the top of the tube, and send it to the lab, that's much more effective.
Yeah.
So, you know, generally speaking, you know, the users, you know, the people being tested, everybody are thrilled by it.
Yeah.
And so we're just, you know, again, we just anticipate. Today I'm putting a PO in for another, you know, substantially larger order of the kits themselves, simply because we've run out basically of the first order.
Yeah. Yeah. So last question is, what are some milestones and goals that you have for 2021?
Yeah, so big milestones. You know, minimum 30 Canadian clinics opened. Really go deep into integrated healthcare, having primary care centers, paramedical centers, and in many, many cases, having them together so that the delivery of healthcare or care to the patient is optimized. Another big theme for me is going to be around technology and healthcare technology. I'm actively in dialogue on additional acquisitions for technology that will integrate and bolt on, because virtual care, whether it's a video conference like this or a telephone call or a chat or secure email even between physician and patient, is the new paradigm. You know, the pandemic has shown us that you don't have to go in and see your doctor in person for some basic ailments, such as renewing a prescription. Mm-hmm. Whereas the old system was slow, it was difficult for the physician, it was very difficult for patients. And so we're learning that healthcare can evolve and change forever. So we want to be in the forefront of that. So a lot more on the theme of technology. We are absolutely going to continue to take a position in mental health, and keeping in mind that our strength are clinics and the delivery of care. How we play a role with the novel new treatment options, I'm not 100% sure of what that will be, but I do know that we're not going to be one of those companies that are going to try and experiment to figure out how to create psilocybin mushrooms or ibogaine. We may be involved, we're likely be involved in the delivery of those treatment options, but we may not be the creator of that pharmaceutical, what they call API. But we will play an important role in mental health for sure. And then the R&D side with product development through Kai Medical, and really looking for other labs. So we're contemplating now, should we be identifying additional labs to acquire on the West Coast, on the East Coast, and in Canada, simply to have more accessibility. So as an example, if I had a lab in Southern California, we would probably pick up more film and television contracts, simply because they want, in some cases, same day delivery, same day response. So we're looking at that, and with the build up in market cap and the build up in our cash position, we are going to, we now have the ability to, make moves and bigger moves quickly, where, even partway through last year, we just weren't in a position to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Are you allowed to say that what kind of goal you have for market cap that you want to get to by the end of 2021?
Well, I know where I want to get to.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll get there in 2021, but an integrated healthcare company like this, especially if we uplist, which is firmly in my path.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not going to be satisfied until we cross through $1 billion market cap and keep on going.
Yeah.
You know, just the type of scale that is out there for us now. And again, kind of where we started, I feel like we have finally met the market where the market wants us to be. And it's taken time. It's been pivoting, it's been shifting, it's been dropping certain types of old services. But these were necessary changes if we wanted to really, you know, get this company to be something special. But I think we've kind of got it figured out now, and it's getting there. So it's exciting, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, I got back to work here hard on Monday, and I've just been slammed. I mean, it is so busy, but there are so many great things going on, and I've got these 2 young doctors now who are just so hungry. They're smart, and they're making moves out of the gate day one. So it's going to be exciting to watch what they bring to the table as well.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And I just want to say that you're one heck of a really good CEO. You're like, you compare to Elon Musk, he's been one of my favorite CEOs. And just for you being able to reach back out to shareholders when we email you and call you, like, it just shows, because like a lot of penny stocks are scammy in the sense where there's no news releases. You can't really talk to the CEO. And I'm really glad that you do that and you really show how important the shareholders are to you. So
yeah, Len, thank you. You know, it's sincere. I mean, I get hundreds of calls and texts, and I've had to put some communications people in front of it because I literally can't get back to everybody. But I endeavor to, whether it's a text message or a short response. I had German investors last night that wanted to chat, so we ended up doing a WhatsApp call at 10 o'clock last night to talk to Germany. And same thing. There's a lot of really great shareholders, and I want to be as transparent as I possibly can. One of the ways to provide confidence to the market and to shareholders is to try to communicate openly and communicate often within the rules of securities law, right? You know, it's a balance always, but and try to continue with, you know, high quality news. You know, I don't want us to be that sort of what appears to be kind of, as you use the word, sort of scammy, you know, penny stock. And frankly, I don't want to be a penny stock. We're going to start talking dollars very soon. We're not talking pennies anymore. I'm tired of it. So, but you have to work your way there.
Yeah.
Right. So I think everybody's pleased with the way the year finished. Obviously, December was explosive, and you know, I'm the largest shareholder. You know, so you know, I'm in this until it's done. I just can't tell you when it's done, right? So you know, nothing's changing from my perspective. My vested interest is actually greater than everybody else's.
Do you have a lockup on your shares right now, or?
No, I have some shares that are still escrowed. So if you consider that a lockup, so I mean they roll out, you know, quarterly. But you know, I have a lot of free trading shares, but I'm a net holder. You know?
We're not selling. We're not selling until we get to dollars. All right. All right. Well, thanks so much for your time, and I hope to talk to you soon if we can try to do this again. I think
just ping me in a little while if, you know, we get some, you know, bigger events and you want to, you know, chat about it again. You know, it's nothing to take 15 or 20 minutes, and hopefully it's good for your audience and for your reach as well.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Okay, Landon. Thank you.
Thanks so much.